Hi, everybody. Welcome to another bite-sized bit of information for the Summer of Love. And we've got the amazing Niki French with us. Hi, Niki.
Hi, Andrew.
Great to see you. So Niki is not only a Pet Remedy partner, but Niki's also an ambassador with us at Pet Remedy. We really value having you with us, Niki, and the great work that you're doing. And we've had a lot of longer form conversations, but today we're going to have a little chunk, and especially based around your best-selling book, Stop Walking Your Dog. Now, obviously, that title it's designed to get people to think, "Oh, what's all that about?" But actually, when we think about emotional well-being for dogs, the walk's an important part of it. And obviously, a walk that can be done when the dog's enjoying it and coping with it, and the environment's okay, is the best thing ever. But we also have to recognize about the challenges for dogs regarding walks, and giving ourselves to permission to think in the short term, especially what those walks might look like. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think it's that permission. I love that word so much, and I think it's so embedded in us, this social pressure, these social norms that if you have a dog, or should you take it for a walk 2 to 3 times a day? Like that's part and parcel of having a dog, and we're doing it with brilliant intentions, and the reality is that not all dogs find that rewarding, find, that they don't feel safe in those situations. So I think it's so interesting to look at why we are taking our dogs for a walk and the kind of experiences that they're having. So, really thinking, right, is is this activity that we're doing, is it for them? Are they enjoying it? How much can we observe them to see, are they really having a good time when we're out there, or are we doing it just because we feel we should? So that's really where the book came about. Was I was working with a number of people that had dogs that were really struggling on walks, like the majority of walks, not just the occasional sort of nervous episode. And the conversations were, you really need to stop walking your dog, and the book came out of that. And it's been such an incredible opportunity to see people open up to the idea of a walk is not the be all and end all of everything with what you might do with your dog. There are so many other things that you can do for physical well-being, mental well-being, and the walk may be part of it, but it might not be. And it's not this be all and end all thing that I think is so much in our society, certainly in the UK and perhaps America and other countries like that. So yes, I think it's that permission that people need for someone to say to them, do you know what, if your dog is not enjoying these walks, it's okay not to do it. It's okay to think, right, let's think of things differently. What is it that this dog needs? Because this obviously isn't quite what's working for them.
I love that because I think when we think about from the dog's point of view, many people think, yeah, but my dog loves to walk, and I get that they're a bit stressed and they struggle when they see other dogs and whatever, but they seem really excited. I think we have to recognize for our dogs, especially those dogs who might struggle on the walk, the bit that they probably enjoy is the time they spend with us. And we can be quite detached from our dogs for a lot of the rest of the day. We can be a bit unavailable, and actually, walk time is the time that we spend together. We can find different ways of using that time together, which is what the dog really needs. And also, I think this notion that not all walks are equal, and I love that you bring this up in the book as well. It's like maybe that type of walk isn't right, but actually this type might be. There's different things you can think about. I have clients whose dogs really struggle with the social environment, and they've started walking their dogs around the industrial estate at night where they're hardly going to see anybody. So they still get out, but it's different. And they're really focusing in on how can we make this walk work for the dog. I think, like you say, the arbitrary nature of dog walks 3 times a day, and we feel as a responsible dog parent, dog owner, that we must take our dogs out 3 times a day. But when we start to think about things, and this is what I love about your book, it gives people to think, actually, is my dog really enjoying that? And is it more for me maybe than them, or is it because I think that that's what they need?
Absolutely. And I think, and it could just be, I think a walk as anything that involves going through your front door and coming back in again. Actually, what happens, or back door, side gate, whatever, going outside of your home in some sense. And it may well be that if they're good in the car, that you go somewhere in the car, you park up somewhere quiet, and you just sit there with the windows open, watching the world go by, scenting a new space, taking a chew with you for them to have, or something like that. Like, a walk doesn't have to be that, whether on lead or off lead, wherever suitable. It doesn't have to just be the movement of walking. It's a trip out, and as you say, that combined experience. And I just really encourage people to do so much more observation of their dogs, really looking at them. You know, there's so many wonderful things that you can do when you're looking at your dog. You know, what's their gait like, and what do their ears start to do? And, you know, it's using that sort of ACE-free work, the observation side of things, and really drilling down into, right, on a walk for the next 20 minutes, I'm just going to be looking at what their ears do and nothing else. I just want to kind of notice all the incredible ways that our ears work, or their tail, or whatever like that. So wherever you go, observing them, and it's incredible how much information that they will give back to us if we start looking, like really, really looking at them.
I love that, because everything is feedback. All those little things that tell us so much about how their dog's experiencing. And I love this notion of going somewhere and just sitting in the car with the windows open, or opening the boot up and sitting in the boot with them, or whatever. I've done that with my dogs many times. And a lot of the dogs who do struggle maybe on the walks, in my experience, are the dogs who really value just being able to sit and watch and have time to process, because a lot of their processing abilities are being hampered by just marching through an environment that they feel uncomfortable with. And of course, this isn't a case of not, if you have a dog that you can recognize struggles on walks, it's not about not thinking about walks down the future. Obviously, if you reach out to speak to your vets, or look at anybody who's covered by the Animal Behaviour and Training Council, or the UK Dog Behaviour and Training Charter, or just anybody who uses modern, progressive, positive reinforcement support to help your dog cope better, then those walks can start to come back a little bit more, because the dog's able to cope better. So it's not a replacement for necessarily, but I think it's a recognition that it doesn't have to be that hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, often what you do at home can be so much more, you can make so much more progress. So for instance, if people were walking, if someone was walking their dogs twice a day and the dogs were really struggling on it, say it was 2 1-hour walks a day, like that's 2 hours of time. I mean, I would never say you need to do 2 hours of training at home with your dog. Like, they would be exhausted. Like, you know, this is not about time. It's just about having the observation of what your dog is struggling with, and replacing it with something else that actually probably is very time efficient from your point of view. Because I think some people are worried that, oh gosh, training, yes, that's going to be difficult and it's going to take a long time. Actually, it's less time than you're spending on walks. So, you know, with just a little bit of information and some different things, there are so many different ways that you can explore and help your dog's skills grow, in order, as you say, to help to go back to having walks of some shape, or some, you know, some exploration out somewhere that your dog enjoys. And if you know, you can do activities at home that they can become really happy behaviors. It was only today I was using the boredom buster. I was going to see a client. It went pre-spritzed. I had some treats rolled up. You know, the dog is a little bit nervous with strangers, and I gave them that item to place into the home before I came around. And something like that, well, what a brilliant way to then take that out. Maybe you do go out into the park and you have it in your bag, and then you take it out somewhere, and you know that the dog is going to be interested in the object and the smell that they are previously familiar with. But again, it's giving them that processing time. As you say, they're on it, they've got a job to do, they're sniffing, they're enjoying. And I've seen it so many times where, you know, then a jogger has gone past, or a baby in a buggy, and the guardians have just gone, oh my goodness me, there was no reaction whatsoever. Like, they're absolutely flawed, but it's as simple as that, isn't it? It doesn't have to be difficult.
Exactly. And I think that's really good. And I think, we know that it's part of emotional well-being more generally, how efficient our sensory integration process works. So that's just about how our brain takes on information through our senses. And that's the same for us. It's the same for the dog, the cat, the horse. It doesn't matter. We've got to make sense of the world around us. Often some of those sensory inputs are dialed up for our dogs, and that's why they struggle in the environment. And their nervous system, that kind of their response to the environment is already dialed up quite high on these walks. So all these things can really help. And using things like the boredom buster, you mentioned Ace Free Work, we'll make sure we have a little link into that. But that's been shown to help with that sensory integratory process as part of that emotional well-being. And also, this is a good point for us when we think about this. Even if you feel your dog, does okay on walks, thinking about our dogs over a 7-day cycle regarding the kind of walks they go on, what those give opportunities for, there's big advantages to some of the more urban-y walks. Sometimes semi-urban walks is different, and but there's also a great advantage to those really quiet rural walks where you're not going to see much at all, but that dog can really slow down. And having those dogs when you don't do much at all. So down here in Devon today, rather un-Britishly, it's kind of like 28 degrees. And so it's not a day to be going out with your dog anyway. We have to think about these things sometimes. This is great. So I think in summary then, Niki, I think what we're saying is, of course, if you enjoy your dog enjoys that dog walk, and so do you, that's great. The thing is about emotional well-being, we know ourselves, we want to feel that we can engage in things that we feel comfortable with and not feel pressured and forced to. Same with our dogs. And I think if you do have a dog that does seem to struggle on walks and it's stressful for you too, and you think, oh God, I've got to take my dog out, I'm dreading it. Take permission from us to think, actually, maybe I don't have to then. Think about getting Niki's book, Stop Walking Your Dog. We'll put a link in for that as well. So you can look at that and think about these different things. And also to give ourselves a bit of a break sometimes and to think about different places. We can get stuck into a routine, can't we? We live down on the seafront here, and I see the same people walking their dogs at the same time pretty well every day. And the dogs don't mind so much because they pick up different scents, of course, but we can be a bit more adventurous, not just in different places to walk our dogs, but also thinking about what we can do instead of walking our dogs. So that's big, I think, the message today, Niki. So Stop Walking Your Dog, that's your book. Where else can people find more, Niki?
Probably the best place to start is my website, which is puptalk.co.uk, or on all the social media, I'm puptalk101.
Brilliant. Thank you, Niki. Thank you so much. And look out for some more videos as part of this Summer of Love series.
Thanks, Andy.